is time. Welcome back to Reading Crappy Fanfictions, episode 5. Not only is it episode 5, but it's a special this time. That means we get to read 4 stories for your entertainment and for our entertainment. It's traumatizing. But besides that, you could be asking yourself, who's we? No, Lightning McQueen isn't reading Crappy Fanfictions with us today. It's actually my best friend, Phil! Yeah! She's the same girl who drew my thumbnail and read that terrifying Sans fanfiction with me that all of you seem to love. But yeah, like I always say, sit back, grab some snacks, grab your pets, grab the whole family. It's probably gonna be a long-ass video. And enjoy! Quick thing I forgot to add in somehow. Faith is very sick, so you're gonna hear her constantly coughing every time she reads something. So, have fun with that! One day, Grunkle Stan and his shoulder hair were lazily sitting on the sticky outdoor couch, watching the mailman named Hal Stewart unload his very fragile package.
Be careful with that, Hal, jeez. He scoffed an old man as Hal the mailman dropped the big box.
What is this anyway? Mailman Hal asked, his voice cracking like Dipper's.
I don't know, Hal. Why are you even talking to me? Uncle Stan said, taking a sip of his yummy in my tummy pit.
I don't know, sorry, bro. Hal Stewart, the mailman, said in his angsty emo-ness. Oh no.
Emo-ness?
I'm sorry, bro. He sped off because he was scared of Stan, but Stan didn't care because he was too busy opening the mysterious box. He took out his pocket knife from his one pair of boxer shorts, and opened the box. Inside, there was a big old fish tank with a little fish in it.
There weren't many fish, only a yellow sponge with a full uniform on, a chubby pink starfish with green shorts on, a small squid with a big, huge jumbo nose, and a crab with money? Yes, it was money. Grunkle Stan's eyes glowed with delight of the money, but he did not know why the little crab was holding it, so he was going to find out. Who are you, little crab with money? Grunkle Stan asked the little crab with money, but he didn't expect him to answer.
Me name is Mr. Krabs. Who are you, pantless elephant?
Pantless elephant? Grunkle Stan said, offended an old man.
Well,
No!
look at... that's what I'm doing! Well, look at you, land lover. You literally have ears the size of an elephant. Just saying, homie.
Shut up, Stan said. Just then, Dipper came outside with his little diary. What are you doing? He asked. Nothing. Go away, Grunkle Stan said to Dipper.
No, you're talking to a little crab, are you? LOL.
Shut up. Go bother my brother, you nerd. Hey, Stan, you wanna watch Detective? Mabel yelled in Stan's elephant ear. When can I ever be alone? Stan yelled back. Mabel cried and walked back inside. Anyways, sorry about that, little crab.
It's Mr. Krabs.
Whatever. My name is Mr. Mystery.
Nice. I'm Mr. Krabs again. This is Patrick, the chubby pink star. That is Mr. SpongeBob, me fry cook. And that is Mr. Squidward, my cashier. I own the one and only world-famous Krusty Krab, he said, gesturing to the building behind him.
Never heard of it.
Well, you heard of it now, Mr. Krabs said with a smirk. Grunkle Stan now realized that this was going to be a very interesting crab.
Well, I guess it's time you come inside, Grunkle Stan told Mr. Krabs.
Alright, matey, Mr. Krabs said. Stan carried the tank inside because he's so buff, and placed the tank right inside the gift shop.
Wendy! He yelled at the cashier. Write up a sign to place in front of this tank.
How much? She asked.
$50 for each little fishing monster.
Alrighty, Stan. Wendy wrote up the sign in a split second and slapped it on the tank. What's happening? Said the squishy yellow box. Ah! They talk? Wendy said, scared.
Yeah, that's why they're $50. Now open the store.
Yes, sir. Wendy grabbed her keys and unlocked the front door. Hours later. Alright, my shift is over, Wendy said as she walked out the door. Bye, guys. Bye, dudes. What was that?
Alright, kids, go get ready for bed.
Aw, but do we have to? The twins said.
Yes, Grunkle said, with no emotion. The twins raced upstairs and Grunkle Stan turned into the fish tank once again.
You're selling us for money? Mr. Krabs yelled, agitated.
I thought you loved money. Just like me.
I do.
Me too, Grunkle Stan said, his voice breaking. Mr. Krabs narrowed his eyes and smirked at the old man. I gotta go do things. Bye-bye. Grunkle Stan gave Mr. Krabs a wave and walked off with his terrible posture.
Let's not talk about this here, me boyo, Mr. Krabs said, shuffling into the Krusty Krab as SpongeBob followed him. As I choke on my spit, oh my god. I know you do. I see you blushing, SpongeBob said. How can you tell? I'm red. Mr. Squidward, am I blushing?
Yes.
They were right. Mr. Krabs was blushing. He was thinking about Grunkle Stan.
Stan spent half the night awake, but he didn't know why. Why can't I sleep? Damn, he said, looking over the gorgeous picture he drew Lazy Susan once in art class during one of their dates. Is it him? Stan rolled out of bed and put his old man slippers over his toes. He slowly walked past Stanford's F-150's room and headed into the gift shop. Hey, are you here?
I am here, matey. What do you want?
I have something to say to you, Stan confessed to Krabs.
Well, I do too, Mr. Krabs replied. You go first.
What I wanted to say was that I can't get you out of my head.
Aye, boyo. I feel the same way.
Can't get yourself out of your head?
No, dummy! Mr. Krabs laughed. I can't get you out of my head.
Well, I'm glad we feel the same way, I guess, Stan said. Well, I'm gonna go back to bed now. Bye, Krabby Wabby Flabby.
Grunkle Stan woke up the next morning feeling fancy, so he put on his best suit on occasion. The suit, of course, had yellow question marks sprinkled about, and the suit was the old wrinkly homie's favorite color, maroon.
You look kinda goofy. Are you good? Nah, bro, I'm good.
Okie dokie, artichokey, Stanford F-150 replied. The went back into his science lab underground. The
Hey, Grunkle Stan! Mabel yelled as she burst into the room, her sweater almost blinding him. He hates colors, except maroon. Duh! Stanford F-150 came into the room. Oh, by the way, Stanley Cup, you're... What? Grunkle Stan dashed into the gift shop.
A small voice came from behind. Arg, Stan, it's me, Mr. Krabs.
Gee willikers, Mr. Krabs, you didn't have to do that, Stan replied, blushing redder than Mr. Krabs' shell.
But me matey, would you like to accompany me on a date tonight?
Of course. I'll grab my eye patch and we'll be on our way. Stan yanked his patch from the counter and put it on.
Let's go! He grabbed his tiny claw and they were out the door. They left the rest of the family flabbergasted. The date that Grunkle Stan and Mr. Krabby Flabby had was fantastical! Mr. Krabs took Stan to the nicest restaurant in town, Greasy's Diner. There they gorged on yummy in your tummy pancakes with tons of syrup. Then they took Stan's car and parked it to watch the sunset. It was beautiful. Anyways, after the date, they went on another, then another, then another, then another. After 69 romantic dates, Grunkle Stan needed to have a long talk with Mr. Krabs. He found him sitting outside on his sticky old couch. Why is it sticky? and sat down right next to the crab.
Hey, Smoochy Poo. We need to talk.
Yes, me little squishy. Mr. Krabs took a sip of his pickle.
Well, I just wanted to say that I love you.
Don't be nervous, Stan. I love you too, Mr. Krabs confessed, staring into Stan's crusty, gorgeous eyes. I think we should get married.
What? Smoochy Poo, that's great idea. Just like my friend Tony the Tiger says.
I knew it, me little squishy. We're gonna have the cheapest wedding ever.
I knew I loved you.
But one thing they didn't know was that there was someone watching them in the woods. Jealousy now streaming through their veins.
The wedding bells played in the distance, and the guests walked to find their seats outside of the mystery shack. The whole town was there. Everyone from Lazy Susan to the little gnomes in the forest. Dipper and Maple were tasked with setting up rusty old folding chairs, while Suze and Wendy were in charge of food and drinks. SpongeBob made them delicious Krabby Patties too. Stan was nervously standing in front of the bathroom mirror. A loud knock came from the other side of the door, which startled Stan. He opened it, and Stanford F-150 was right there, dressed in a fancy tux. Bro, what do you want? I told you not to bother me. I'm kind of emo today.
Dude, it's literally your wedding. What do you mean you're emo? Stanford F-150 asked.
I just don't think he loves me for me. Just for my money. Emo Stan said, putting on knee-high Converse.
He's literally richer than you, dog.
Yeah, but still. Maybe he's greedy and rude. Stan cried.
Oh my god, don't wear those Converse. They're ugly, Stanford F-150 said, completely ignoring his brother's tears. Okay, bye!
Stan gazed at himself in the mirror. One least time, okay. Before the clock struck 2 o'clock. It was time. This was so dramatic.
Stan stepped out of the mystery shack. I almost said the mystery sack and walked outside. Lazy Susan started up the organ, and one by one, the groomsmen walked down the aisle. Stan swore he heard the engine of a car in the distance, but he couldn't think of that now.
To you, Mr. Krabs, big Stan Pines as your husband, Fazbear announced, looking at Krabs deeply in the eyes. You wanted him.
Of course I do, Pookie Bear.
And do you? I object! Echoed throughout the woods as a mysterious figure stood in the shadows.
Who?
Who?
Yes, it's
my
me, Hal Stewart! How the mailman stepped out of the woods in full universe in full uniform.
But why? Stan said, flabbergasted.
Because I love you, Stan. I love you so much.
You do? Stan asked, his heart thumping.
Yes, I really do, Hal said, grabbing his rough old man hands.
Well then, Hal, Stan said, smiling. I guess...
Kablammo! Hal fell to the floor.
God, what? Stan dropped to his knees, bending over Hal, gazing into his eyes.
Stan! Hal coughed out, the life draining out of his beautiful green eyes.
Yes. Stan placed his hand on Hal's chest, but when he removed it, Stan's hand was covered in crimson liquid. Blood.
I have a...
What? You have a what?
But Hal Stewart didn't finish the sentence. Sentence. He was on the floor, without life in his eyes.
Bro died at a wedding. Vanessa isn't like other humans, Mom, Barry yelled with tears forming in the corners of his eyes. I don't care! She's a human! No human has good intentions for bees! His mother yelled back at him. Fine! I'll prove it to you! Barry said angrily, going to his room.
Barry began packing his things into a small suitcase and slipped on his black shoes.
I'll show her,
Barry said under his breath.
Barry buzzed through the house and Out the door, Barry beat Benson. His father cried out, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to prove to you and Mom that I can be with a human," Barry yelled from outside of his house. He took a deep breath and booked it. "Hey!" the general yelled in the Lego Man voice. "After him!" Barry buzzed back. The pollinators were on his stinger.
He was flying for what seemed like ages. It began to rain, so he found a tree and decided to stay there until the rain let up. After a couple of hours, the rain stopped and he began flying again. He soon realized he was so focused on getting away from the pollinators, then he didn't notice he was going the completely wrong way to get to Vanessa's apartment. He sighed and decided to find a place to sleep for the night. He buzzed around for a bit and finally found a small cottage surrounded by trees and a small pond with murky water.
Can we, appreciate, a cover?
Oh
of the
my
story?
god.
Barry found an open window and flew inside. "This should be fine for tonight," he said with clear exhaustion in his voice.
Shrek soon came out of his room, not noticing the bee on his windowsill. Barry looked around and saw the green ogre. He wasn't aware anyone lived here. It was old and run down, so he assumed it was abandoned. Barry thought it would be a nice thing to just go introduce himself to the ogre. He buzzed over to Shrek.
"Hello."
Barry said, landing on Shrek's knee. Barry looked up and got a better look at Shrek's face. He was the sexiest thing he ever seen. Barry never felt this way about a man before. His heart raced. His hands began shaking and his stinger was twitching. "Oh. Gah!" Shrek yelled. "Who are ya? And what are you doing in my swamp?"
Barry flew up, locking eyes with the green man. "I'm Barry B. Benson. I sort of ran away. We found your home," Barry said, looking down a bit embarrassed. Shrek looked in shock, but also pity.
"Well, you're not clearly as annoying as that donkey."
Shrek said, looking at Barry with a tint of pink on his eyes.
On his eyes? I think he's high, guys.
Barry noticed the blush and giggled cutely.
After Shrek and Barry got comfortable with each other, Shrek asked if Barry wanted to watch a movie with him. "So, wanna watch a movie?" Shrek asked, blushing.
"Sure,"
Barry replied.
"What type? Comedy? Horror? Action?"
"Romance," Shrek plainly replied. Barry blushed, not knowing Shrek would be the kind of person, more like ogre, to like those kind of movies. Although he didn't complain. Barry was looking forward to spending the time with his new friend. Yeah, a new friend, alright.
Shrek made some popcorn and sat on the couch. He took up most of the couch due to how thick he was. Barry ended up just propping himself up on Shrek's shoulder. I almost said pooping.
Halfway through the movie, Barry looked up at Shrek and thought to himself,
So much hotter up close. Maybe if I just...
and Barry buzzed in front of Shrek and kissed him. Barry!
Shrek looked at him in shock. "I'm so sorry, Shrek-san," Barry said, looking ashamed.
No.
Shrek said, lifting Barry's head to look at him.
I liked that.
Shrek said, leaning in for another kiss.
Oh no, this paragraph! Soon, the two gave into the kiss. Barry forcefully pushed himself closer to Shrek. How the hell do you get that strength? Their lips intertwined and moved in sync with each other. Shrek licked Barry's bottom lip, asking for entrance. Barry playfully denied, and Shrek pulled on his stinger a bit, making Barry gasp, allowing Shrek to enter. He explored Barry's wet cavern, leaving no spot untouched. He tasted like honey, but not any honey. Love honey. What the fuck? Honey that's only What?! Honey that's only produced when bees are in heat. I am going to shoot myself. And Barry was in fact in heat. I hate my life. Lust filled to the brim. And after what seemed like hours, the two pulled away from the kiss, making their lips feel cold.
Shrek-san, Barry said out of breath. I think I'm in love with you.
I think so too, Barry.
Shrek shyly replied. Shrek-san, Barry said, with obvious lust in his voice. Please.
I am uncomfortable. Shrek's cheek went a dark crimson. You can call me Shrek Senpai, Shrek said to Barry, making him flustered.
Shrek went and turned Barry over, revealing his tiny He began using his index finger and his thumb to lightly rub Barry's hardened. Barry let out a soft, groan of pleasure. Shrek Senpai, please stop teasing me. Made Shrek amused, only to cause him to subconsciously begin to stroke Barry faster.
Why do I have to read this part? Barry's cock was overflowing with pre-cum, making Shrek's 2 fingers sticky. I hate my life. Barry was close to his climax when Shrek suddenly stopped, ruining Barry's orgasm.
Shrek Senpai, are you?
Barry was cut off. Lick. Shrek demanded, putting his 2 fingers in Barry's face.
Barry hesitated for a second before he began licking Shrek's fingers. It took him a good 3 minutes to...
Good.
Shrek said to Barry.
Shrek told Barry to lay on his back. Shrek began to lick Barry's small tip. You taste so good, Shrek said to Barry.
Not much longer after Shrek began licking Barry, Barry reached his climax for such a small thing. He shot a huge load. His spit into Shrek's mouth and he swallowed it all. That was so hot.
Shrek blushed and chuckled. This is just as bad as the Frosty the Snowman story. Oh my god! Do you have any honey perchance? Barry asked YN as he finished taking YN clothing off.
Yeah, in the fridge. Why? YN asked. Barry didn't answer. He went downstairs and got the honey from the... As he entered the bedroom, YN was in. He spoke.
I don't know why humans wear so much clothing. You look awful cute without it, dear. Ew.
As he finished his sentence, he started to spread the honey all over YN's body.
Are you ready?
Barry said as he was about to stick it in. Looking at YN for approval. YN nods. Barry puts honey on his stinger as a substitute for his lube.
Oh.
Then slowly puts his stinger in, knowing that usually stingers bring pain to humans.
Is this okay? Barry asked, genuinely concerned for YN comfort and pain. YN couldn't answer. This was the best they had felt before. Who knew a stinger could hit all the right spots? What?
Bee's honey is best to use for these types of things.
Barry spoke, his voice shaky and his body trembling. YN couldn't keep it in much control, yes, very grammar, either. YN whimpered. Bad shook uncontrollably until they reached their climax. But Barry didn't stop. Barry made YN climax again, and again, and again, over and over and over and over again, up until YN fell asleep.
YN woke up the next morning covered in honey, and under a blanket, warm and cozy. YN didn't want to open their eyes. They were still thinking of the night before. All that happened, the pleasure, and some of the pain, the moans and whimpers, everything. They couldn't believe a bee did that. They couldn't believe it at all.
I love beeses.
YN spoke to themselves.
I know.
YN heard a deep voice beside them say, Barry isn't said like that. Barry doesn't have that deep of a voice. YN opened their eyes.
Ken? Ken? Like Barbie movie? What?
YN spoke softly and confused. What are you doing here, Ken? Where's Barry? Ken looks at YN confused.
What do you mean? That's a bee from the Bee movie.
YN sat up and rubbed their eyes. So, I didn't do the deed with a bee last night?
Ken raised an eyebrow. No, yesterday was Halloween. We went to a Halloween party. I was a bee. You did that to me.
Oh my god! We broke up 2 months ago.
I know. But we talked over it yesterday, remember?
The bee said that he watched me through my window for the past 6 months. He's been coming to my house and watching be.
Ken chuckled. Of course that happened. You always talked about wanting a stalker, so here you are. Be the first to comment. No, I don't want to comment on this. YN! Megamind called out to you from his massive aircraft. You whipped around. Your clap? Fluttering behind you. You had taken Megamim's arch nemesis' place after he mysteriously disappeared. Megamind had launched you across the city, resulting in a minor injury to your perfect physique.
Megamind's aircraft hovered nearby. Megamind's voice echoing across the city.
YN, are you alright?
Furrowed your eyebrows. Yeah?
Megamind sighed, relieved that you weren't hurt. His secret love. He admired you from afar, but being able to bat at you was orgasmic. I'm glad, Megamind shrugged. The lust for you off his mind, because now I'm sure you'll feel all of my wrath.
You dodged several of the missiles shot out from his aircraft, flying off to lure him away from the city. As planned, he turned his aircraft and flew after you at full speed. You brought him far up into the sky, before quickly whipping around, crashing through the ship's glass windows and into the control room. Megamind's eyebrows raised drastically, sliding all the way up his massive forehead.
YN! His cheeks had gone from a regular blue to a bright red. You marched towards him, your fist clenched. Megamind met you halfway, bumbling about how rude it was for you to ruin his ship like this. You grabbed his shirt roughly and pulled him closer, pulling back your fist ready to punch him. Wait, YN!
Megamind held onto your shoulders, his eyes glistening with admiration.
Before you end me with your powerful hands, I want you to know something.
Your face flushed slightly, fighting your grip on his shirt. The cloth tore slightly as you did so.
I love you, YN. Oh no.
Unexpectedly, he pulled you into a hot kiss. His hands on your face. His lips were thin and slick, but incredibly experienced. Slowly, you lowered your fist, holding on to him as you kissed back passionately.
Enemies to lovers!
You let go of his shirt, which conveniently continued to rip down his chest, revealing his ripped body. You gasped. He was so beautiful. You couldn't have guessed how sexy he was under that thin latex suit. He smirked seductively and ripped off his shirt and pants, revealed his mega.
You gasp at the 18 inches of Megamind's erect mega cock. Don't be shy, YN, Megamind cooed.
It was a matter of minutes before you and Megamind were undressing each other as you stumbled into a more appropriate room for sex. A large bed sat in the middle of the room with a picture of Megamind's face on the blanket. Megamind's face on the blanket, and you're having sex on that?
Alright, buddy.
Megamind tossed you onto the bed. He climbed on top of you, smiling sexily. You grinned, kissing him again as he slicked on some lube. He slid into you, moaning loudly. You moaned as well. His massive mega cock was so amazing. He only lasted a few thrusts before screaming.
YN, I'm gonna, he moaned. I'm gonna.
Why did it end like that?
That is beautiful. I love this story. Millions of stars.
Dog. God. You're fucking stupid.